The Steelers are 11-0 and have put Baltimore Ravens in the rearview mirror.
11-0 are the Steelers after beating the Ravens at home to finally wrap up Week 12.
Were you okay that this game was played?
Yeah, I mean, it's a football game. And in football games and football seasons, you're going to have adversity, and especially in 2020.
Those last three voices, Sage Steele and Kevin Nagandi on SportsCenter, speaking to Ryan Clark, the Steelers Super Bowl champion. And the Steelers are certainly hoping they can get themselves another Lombardi, a sloppy, and I'm being generous, 19-14 win over the Ravens on Wednesday afternoon football, if you will, to improve to 11-0, the first team to start 11-0 since the 2015 Panthers led by Cam. And that team, of course, eventually ended up going to the Super Bowl. Cam coming off an 84-yard passing performance. Shows you how quickly 5 years can go. Keyshawn J.
A win is a win is a win.
Indeed. And that's where I want to go with you in a second. That's your opinion. But this particular win is a win is a win. Not so much of a great win for Mike Tomlin. It's time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. I've said it for a million years. The second Tomlin decides to say, I am done coaching, whatever TV network can get his cell phone number first is going to hire him. The dude talks in sound bites. He talks in declaratives. He is amazing. He doesn't let you know exactly what he's thinking all the time. No shades of gray, and shading his squad after how sloppy they looked on offense, defense, and special teams. Listen to this over the next 58 seconds.
To be bluntly honest, man, I'm really disappointed in our performance tonight. We did enough to win, but that's all. It was really junior varsity, to be quite honest with you, and it was in all three phases. We couldn't run the ball effectively when we needed to. We dropped too many significant passes, very catchable, makeable passes. We didn't make significant plays in the special teams game. Our kickoff coverage unit wasn't good enough. We turned the damn ball over. We gave up big plays in critical moments on defense. Can't have it. They converted a long run on a possession down before the half. Unacceptable. They had a 70-yard touchdown late in the game. Unacceptable. And so we're fortunate tonight. It's good to proceed with the victory. I acknowledge that. But not a lot happened tonight to be proud of or to be excited about other than that.
You had some red zone failures and a number of drop passes. What do you attribute that to? Anything in particular?
Us sucking.
Straight Talk Wireless.
I love him so much.
No contract, no compromise. I do too. But after hearing that little diatribe there from Coach Tomlin, both of you in separate ways are saying, Coach, chill, bro. It's just one game.
No, I'm not saying that. He's correct and he's right. I'm saying it's one game. They won the game, but when you look at everything from the first quarter to the end of the game, they were not perfect, as he said, in any phase of the game. Whether it's McLeod fumbling on the punt return, whether it's Big Ben fumbling or throwing an interception, or whether it's getting beat on a long play from Hollywood Brown, cutting back against the grain, all of those sort of different things, whether it was RG3 scampering, whether it's the receiver Johnson dropping a number of passes. He plays receiver. You got to catch the ball, bruh. Slants wide open, touchdown, Ben puts it on you. It's receivers in the league that would die to have that opportunity to score a touchdown. I get it. That's why I say they've got to clean this stuff up. They've got to show me something if they plan on playing Kansas City, whether it's in Pittsburgh or Kansas City or neutral site. To beat Kansas City, they've got to clean that up. Because whatever that was last night, if they take that to Kansas City, when they play Kansas City, because I believe they will possibly be playing, they're going to get run out the building. And I think Mike Tomlin knows that. That's why he's so passionate about, communicating and letting everyone know that my team's not very good. We didn't show anything last night. Not one thing in that game I walked away from saying, man, they're going to get Kansas City a run for their money. Not one thing. And I understand, T.J. Watt was covering Hollywood Brown on a wheel route out of the backfield. And Hollywood Brown was 4 yards in front of T.J. T.J. was grabbing for dear life. It just so happened Robert Griffith III threw a ball that looked like he was throwing from the outfield in baseball to third base on a straight line drive. Patrick Mahomes is not missing that throw to Tyreek Hill. And so you've got to clean those little bitty things up, and Mike T certainly knows that.
Not going to fool me on this one. This game yesterday was an anomaly to me, Key. The Steelers, as I understand, the internal perspective from Mike Tomlin and your perspective, right? Because you're thinking about the Chiefs. How do we win the whole thing? The reality is this team hasn't played since November 22nd, right? A lot of their stuff has been in flux. And I can understand James Conner not being there, having the anxiety of, are we going to play today? Are we going to play tomorrow? It just looked like they were out of sync. And I understand there's things for them to work on, but like that has to play into it a little bit. We still are talking about a team that is 11-0, correct? An undefeated team. Now, they've blown only 3 teams out this year. Only 3 teams out this year. Every other game has been somewhat close, and I understand how that can be used against them in the argument, but I also can make the other argument by saying this team knows how to win ugly. Now, that may not have been their best performance last night. Maybe we want to see them blow out teams like KC does, but I've also seen Kansas City play down to the level of their competition as well. So, yes, they are explosive, but they've also allowed teams to stay in ball games that shouldn't have stayed in ball games as well. So I hear what you're saying, but yesterday's game isn't that big of an indictment on the Pittsburgh Steelers to me.
It's not that big of an indictment, but when you take on a team that's basically missing Mark Ingram,
J.K. Dobbins,
Lamar Jackson, and a host of other players, and you put that type of performance out on tape, it does not serve you well.
Okay, but Key, there's some key. Your body is all about rhythm. Right? Like you get into your routine, you get into your rhythm. I know if I don't play in a game for a little bit, like in basketball, if I don't play in a game for like a week, I'm going to be rusty. Like, let alone 2 weeks.
I understand what you're saying about a routine and rhythm and playing and all of those sort of things. It does not take you 4 quarters to get going. It does not take you 4 quarters to get going. Ben Roethlisberger was delivering the football. They were dropping it. It has nothing to do. You're messing around with RG3, who hasn't stepped on the field as a starter since week 17 a year ago. And that happened to be against you. And so when you are struggling to put away a team that is less than, there's concern from the head coach, which should be. Because if that was any team that had a quarterback that could play, Pittsburgh would have lost that game. You know, and that's just the reality of it. They would have lost the game. If they had anybody else, if they were playing Kansas City, man, that score would be 50 to nothing probably.
You're right. They were ravaged. Man. The opponent was ravaged. They couldn't handle Baltimore's 2nd and 3rd string quarterbacks. One other note, Bud Dupree for the Steelers. We believe he has boy, does it ever. 8 sacks this season, and does it also hurt him financially? He's set to become a free agent in the spring.
It just depends on what the medical looks like.
Indeed, and they've also already lost Devin Bush to an ACL. So we'll see. They're perfect, but they've been able to do it with one hand tied behind their back,
Bush
especially
seemed like it was
on defense.
A year ago, doesn't it? Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago. But yeah, those 2 guys on the shelf the rest of the way.
But that's the last time they played was like a year ago.
It felt like it, right? November 22nd does feel like a year ago. Keyshawn, J. Will Zubin, presented by Progressive Insurance. All of our guests, including Dominique Foxworth, who will join us in moments, join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. On the way, Neek with a very interesting take. Simply put, why he thinks the Steelers have to go perfect, no margin of error, to win the Super Bowl. His rationale on the way after Key has this.
Yep. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. When you upgrade your job post, Indeed immediately delivers candidates from our resume database who fit your job criteria.